For the first time in the Timmy Chang era, Hawaii football is 2-1 after a 37-20 win over Sam Houston State Saturday night in what was backup quarterbacks Luke Weaver's first ever career start for the Rainbow Warriors. This was the very definition of a team win, and this was complimentary football at its finest. The defense forced a 3-and-out to start the game, and then the offense would go on to score on its opening drive, converting on fourth down to take an early 7-0 lead. And this is the first time in 2025 that Hawaii football has started the game with a lead. In the previous games against Stanford and against Arizona, Power 4 schools, they were training to start the game. So it was kind of cool to see everything clicking where you had offense scoring points, whether it be touchdowns or field goals. And it starts with quarterback Luke Weaver, who's making his first ever start as a Division I FBS quarterback after transferring from Modesto Junior College. And we got to see what Luke Weaver could do with a full week of reps with the number one offense. In this game against Sam Houston State, the offense was clicking. I don't want to say on all cylinders, but we definitely saw a better effort and production by the offense, who, by the way, were without a few players, right? You were missing a 4-for-1 QB1 in Michael Alejado. You were also missing your leading receiver from last year in slotback Nick Sanico. I don't believe Jackson Harris got into game. You're a transfer from Stanford who caught a touchdown the last time the Rainbow Warriors were at T.C. Ching Field. And you also had some linemen that were kind of getting banged up throughout the course of this game. Now, I don't want to give Luke Weaver an A right off the bat because he did throw a bad interception that led to points for the defense on that pick six. But what I really liked about Luke Weaver was how he responded after that mistake, right? In the video I did after Hawaii beat Stanford, I said this team is different because they have that mental fortitude where they can overcome these mistakes. And for Luke Weaver, he threw that interception in that third quarter. I think that made the score a one-possession game. But he came right back and led this offense to 3 scoring drives in the fourth quarter. And to me, that's pretty impressive, right? Because the offense had 6 total scoring drives throughout the game. You had 3 field goals from Kansei Matsuzawa, who, by the way, is still money. He's still kicking field goals at the end of a half. I think he is now 3 for 3 on field goals as time expires in the half. Luke Weaver, after that pick six, threw 2 fourth quarter touchdowns to get this team to their highest scoring point total so far this season. And that was something that I like to see, especially after they were held out of the end zone against Arizona in week 1. Now, I was very critical of the play calling in that Arizona loss, and I was happy to see that this team mixed up the run with the pass. I believe there were 34 total rush attempts. Now, that's also factoring in some scrambles and some sacks for Luke Weaver, but yet 34 rushing attempts credited against 43 passing attempts. And that's good for about a little over a 40% clip for running plays compared to under 60% for passing plays. And I think that's something that we need to do as a offense to compete on the Division I level. I know fans want us to air it out every down, but that style of play is just not sustainable in college football at the highest level. And I bring that up because one jarring stat from last year that I really did not like was that Braden Shager, the starting quarterback of last year, was pretty much on the bottom of the country in terms of play action passes. I believe only 8.8% of Braden Shager's dropbacks, and this is not counting RPOs, were play action passes. And the next one closest to him was Riley Leonard from Notre Dame with nearly double that amount. And I bring that up because this team kind of struggled in short down yardage situations against Arizona and a little bit against Stanford too, where they went for on fourth down against Stanford and didn't get it. But here against Sam Houston State, this team was 3 for 3 on fourth downs, including that opening score where Luke Weaver was able to fake the handoff, kind of do a little bootleg to his right, only to hit Landon Sims in the flat for a easy touchdown. And I thought that was a beautiful play. That's something you normally don't see from this type of offense. But with Coach Anthony Arsenault as your offensive coordinator now, to help putting some of these plays, along with Coach Jared Sewell being that pass game coordinator, along with, Derek Faavi and Winterhawk Layton, hoping to coach the offensive line and that run game. I just love what this team was doing offense, and you can kind of see how it led to 30 points on the board put on by the offense and the special teams combined. Now, with some receivers banged up, this was definitely a game where you needed to go to your playmaker, and that's what the University of Hawaii did on offense, getting the ball to Pofele Ashlock 7 times for over 100 yards and 2 scores. And I think Pofele was targeted 14 total times in this. If you have playmakers, you feed your playmakers. And that is what all good offenses do. You'll see that in the NFL. You'll see that in the college football playoffs. You'll see it in any level. If you have playmakers, you need to come up with plays to get them the ball. Now, let's talk about the defense, because I think this was the best game that they have had all season. But the number one stat that you're going to hear other people in the media say is how this team was able to get off the field on third down. Sam Houston only converted on 2 of 11 third down attempts, and they were also 0 for 1 on fourth down. When the defense needed to get off the field, they got off the field, right? And that's kind of how I think this team is going to play, right? If the defense gets off the field, the offense you can play that field position game, especially when you have great special teams players in Kansei Matuzawa as well as punter Billy Gowers. This is winning football, and I love that the University of Hawaii is doing that. Now, a couple shout outs for the defense. I love the depth on this defense. This defense is loaded. I don't know if it was planned that the 2s and 3s would probably see more snaps, but whoever went in on defense in the rotation, whether it be on defensive line, linebacker, or in the secondary, they were going to make plays. And that's one thing you love to see. That's one thing you want to see, because hey, if somebody goes down, you can trust that the next person up is going to go out and do their job. And that starts with graduate transfer Giovanni Iovino, who went to Bishop Gorman, right? He's kind of unofficially part of that Bishop Gorman pipeline, even though he was a transfer in. But he scored on the pick 6. He made his opportunities felt. Want to give a shout out also to Kilinahi Mendiola Jensen, who has been the MVP of this defense so far. Kind of read that play that led to the pick 6. Great deflection on it, and Gio was able to pluck that ball in the air, follow convoy to the end zone for what was the first defensive score by this Hawaii defense in a long time that I can remember. Kudos to those two making it work down there. Pass rush was one another level too. I know they only had 3 sacks, but those sacks were some big sacks, with Lester Langafuaina, Jackie Johnson, and Quinn Williams being the 3 to record sacks in this game. And I love to see the blitz schemes that Coach Dennis Thurman on the defensive coordinator side put together. I think there were some 3-man fronts, and I don't even know if there were 3-man fronts, because the defensive linemen and some of those blitzes that they were doing were kind of doing a little dance at the line of scrimmage, toying with the offensive line for Sam Houston, kind of getting in their heads. And you just love to see it if you're a fan of defense. And again, holding Sam Houston for 2 for 11 on third down, that is winning football. So yeah, this was a huge win, a huge bounce back win after a tough loss at Arizona, 40-6. Hawaii football is 2-1, and that's something we can't say for this team in a long time. At least definitely during the Timmy Chang era. This was a great start to this 3-game homestand that the Rainbow Warriors have at the T.C. Ching Athletic Complex. Now, they're 2-1 right now. I'm pretty sure they'll be 3-1 next week around the same time when they host Portland State. So there's a chance that Hawaii football is going to be 3-1 heading into conference play when they host Fresno State in a couple of weeks. I think for this squad, if you can get to 3-1, that puts you in prime position to make a bowl game. The fact that we had such a resounding win against Sam Houston State, it's not a perfect win, but it was a fun win, right? You had points scored in the first half. You had a lot more points scored in the second half. And Sam Houston, to their credit, they made it a game. I know a lot of fans, they don't really know where Sam Houston is, but this was a bowl team last year that won 10 games. So, yes, new head coach, new defense, but there's still a lot of talent on this team. And for Hawaii to get this W against Sam Houston State, against the Bearcats, you just have to tip your cap to them. So this was fun. I'm sure next week will be even more fun. It'll be homecoming against Portland State. So if you don't have tickets yet, you better get on it, because unlike the Fiji concert, I'm pretty sure it's not sold out.